What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Show. My name's AJ Gels. How y'all doing? And it's time once more for the weekly show. This is episode 171. As you can tell from the title, we will be focusing on the PS5 here in the beginning of the show. I've got about 4 or 5 articles. Some of them are pretty short. These ones on Push Square, but I've got one sort of longer one in there that's kind of talking about this whole idea of what backwards compatibility is going to be on the PS5. So we have that coming up. Other than that, we've got some stuff for The Last of Us 2 stuff. We're going to be talking about that whole Blitzchung and Blizzard sort of fiasco, and or basically, trying to think of a better way to put that. The Blizzard shitting the bed, I guess is the best way to put it. And then we've got a dev interview at PAX with a Cyberpunk 2077 dev, and then we're going to close out with a WWE 2K20 MyCareer mode trailer. So, you know, we've got a pretty hefty show this week. I just want to say, as always, thank you so much for watching, guys. Sorry this is coming out a day late. I put it out on Twitter last night that I wanted to focus on some other stuff, you know, finish up Concrete Genie, which I have, which great game, by the way. And also really dig more into Gears 5. I want to try and knock that game out pretty quick, because I think we've got a couple games coming out next week. So that's the plan, and that's what I was doing yesterday, even despite a small storm that knocked out my power for a little bit. That was really fun. But either way, other than that, guys, if you're new to the program, basically what we do here, we read and talk about video game news. That's the entire concept of the show. I give my takes. We sit here. We have some fun. I always love hearing your guys' takes down in the comments. I did try to respond to somebody's comments. I believe it was a Brian Gade comment on my last Ghost Recon Breakpoint video. For some reason, it wasn't letting me respond to the comments. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's a wider issue with my comment section. So if you don't get a response from me, I apologize. I like to try and respond to comments, but I don't know what's going on, really. So hopefully that problem will be resolved soonish. Other than that, I feel like there was one other thing I wanted to say, but I think that's about it. Just the general stuff. You know, if you think I missed something during the week, you want to send me something, you know, it's always possible that I miss news or whatever. You can always send it to me on any of the social media platforms that are linked down in the description below, or down in the comments. And that's about it. So let's take a look at our first bit of news here. So apparently the PS5 release date has been set for holiday 2020. Sony confirms. Article Robert Ramsey. This is of Push Square. The PlayStation 5, as it is now officially known, will launch in the holiday period of 2020. A new Wired interview with Sony Interactive Computer Entertainment CEO Jim Ryan confirms this. Obviously, we already knew that the Japanese giant was aiming for the release window anyway, but it's nice to have it officially reiterated. I mean, clearly, this console is going to be dropped in the holiday 2020. I mean, that's when we know that Project Scarlet from Microsoft is being planned to drop, and Microsoft would be absolutely insane or did I say Microsoft? Sony would be absolutely insane not to drop the PS5 almost to the day that Project Scarlet comes out. I mean, I've seen anecdotal evidence on Twitter and whatnot, and people saying, "Oh, well, I always hear people talking about Xbox and talking about this and that." And I think that's true. I do hear more people talk about Xbox than I think people should be talking about the Xbox, because I still say that the PlayStation is the clearly superior console. But again, that's my opinion. Whatever. I still think Sony has completely pantsed Microsoft this generation of consoles. And honestly, I think if they want to keep it up, they shouldn't get overconfident and do something. They shouldn't do something like what they did at the start of the PS3 generation, where it's going to be $200 more than the Xbox, and it's going to be, you know, it's going to have this weird UI and all this stuff. And it picked up near the end, but still, the opening bit for PS3 was not good. So I'm really hoping they're going to avoid that and really just keep trucking, because PlayStation has really been kicking ass as of late. But either way, let's move on. We don't have a full release date yet, though, and we'd be surprised if we hear anything more concrete before next year. It's still unclear whether Sony is planning a big reveal event for the PS5, but it's always seemed likely. In any case, 2020 is going to be an exciting year for PlayStation fans. Still, it's time to start saving up for the next-gen machine, yada yada. that's pretty much the end of the article. The next article we will be looking at actually is talking about the fact that Sony has confirmed that there will be a big PS5 release event, or reveal event, in 2020. As far as, am I getting PS5 day one? Well, of course I'm getting it day one. I mean, that's kind of, I need it for the channel. That's just kind of one of those things. It's kind of weird for me, though. This is the first time I'm buying a next-gen platform day one. I usually waited about maybe a year and a half to 2 years to buy a next-gen console. I'm trying to think when I got my PS4. I think I waited a year and a half to 2 years before I even got my PS4. Man, I can't believe I waited that long to get that console. But either way, there was one other thing I wanted to say, and I can't remember. If I remember it, I'll bring it up. Either way, let's move on to the next article. Still staying on this PS5 theme. As I said earlier, it has been officially revealed that a full PS5 reveal will happen in 2020, despite the 2019 event rumors. This article also pushed Square, also by Robert Ramsey. So like I said earlier, I mean, we have the definite PS5 reveal. Personally, I'm hoping that they're not gonna do what they did with the PS4 Pro, with that reveal. And oh my God, I can't remember the name of the engineer who designed the PS4 Pro. The guy was an absolute genius, but I don't think he should have done that reveal, because that reveal was so freaking dry. But I don't know. I'm interested in this. We'll probably cover this reveal on the channel. But let's take a look at the actual article. The PlayStation 5 will be fully revealed at some point in 2020. We always assumed this would be the case, but now we have confirmation from Sony IT specialist Sam Parker, who says the console will be, quote, unveiled and released, end quote, next year. It's worth mentioning that there have been whispers about Sony putting on a PS5 reveal event in 2019 is over, but such a scenario never seemed likely as far as we're concerned. Some were hoping for another PlayStation experience, but even if the Japanese giant was to host a show this year, we doubt that the PS5 would be there. Right now, Sony is clearly happy to just feed us little nuggets of information through exclusive Wired articles, which is a sentence that we never thought we'd be writing. If the company can keep the momentum and excitement levels going into next year, then it'll be primed for a big reveal. We can't wait, but are you looking forward to finally seeing the PS5? Give us some next-gen speculation in the comment section below. Okay, let me say this. Am I excited for a PS5 reveal? No. The idea of a PS5 reveal isn't super exciting to me because, it's hardware and tech and all this, and I'm not a big hardware guy. Mostly because you can say all that stuff and it kind of goes over my head because I'm dumb. But all you have to do is say, okay, here's the features. It's this much more powerful than the PS4. It can let us do, have more realistic character models. It will have backwards compatibility. You could literally release that shit in an article and I'd be just as happy with a reveal. Now, am I excited for the PS5? Sure. I'm excited for both next-gen consoles. PS5 4, because I want to see PlayStation continue kicking the shit out of everything like they've been now, and for Microsoft mostly because I hope that they can put up more of a fight. And I know that seems, oh yeah, I want Microsoft to get up so Sony can continue to kick the crap out of them. Frankly, it's because I think Sony has just been amazing lately. But like I said, Microsoft, I'd like them to stand back up because frankly, I don't think there's been a lot of great things on Microsoft's end for the last 2 years. Well, that's just my take on it. As I mentioned before, though, the big thing with the PS5 for me, it's going to be the backwards compatibility. I love the idea that we're going to see backwards compatibility on the PS5. There is some question of what all is going to be backwards compatible. Is it going to be like the Xbox One where it's selective backwards compatible or everything, whatever? That's what the next article is going to be covering. Although it does make me kind of sad because I am planning on dropping the cash and getting a limited edition Death Stranding PS4 Pro, mostly because I love that like Snow White case with the black handprints on it. It looks so sweet. Mixed up with the fact that my PS4 is kind of dying and I kind of need a new PS4. Sadly, a year before the next one comes out, and that's supposedly going to have backwards compatibility that would turn it into a display piece, but that's just the way shit rolls sometimes. Either way, let's move on. PS5 backwards compatibility is still being worked on as Sony investigate, quote, complete compatibility, end quote. Article by Alex Avard of Games Radar. This is Games Radar. Sorry, sometimes the color scheme of Games Radar and GameSpot is the same, so it's sometimes hard for me to tell which one's which. Excuse me. Let's see here. In the wake of the PS5 Holiday 2020 release date news, Sony has come out with more information about the PS5 backwards compatibility support for PS4 games, namely that it's still working on it. Speaking to Famitsu and translated by Japanese journalist BK2128, a representative from Sony Interactive Entertainment's public relations unit stated that the PS5, quote, dev team is putting all power on verifying whether they can secure a complete compatibility. Please wait for more information, end quote. We're presuming that, quote, complete compatibility simply means support for every single PS4 game across physical and digital media, as opposed to, for example, the Xbox One's backwards compatibility program, which has a limited but ever-increasing library of Xbox 360 titles that can be enjoyed on Microsoft consoles. Sony has previously stated that the PS5 will be backwards compatible with PS4 games, but has stopped short of promising access to the discography, that is a hard word to say, of titles from the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, or original PlayStation consoles, unless, of course, you're counting current-gen remasters of PS4 ports. Okay, so that sentence throws me off a little bit from up here, because up here it's making it seem like, okay, it's going to be kind of like the Xbox One to the Xbox 360. Not all Xbox 360 titles are going to be backwards compatible on the Xbox One, but like they said, it's always kind of growing and growing of what's being available on Xbox One. So for the PS5, what this paragraph makes it sound is that all PS4 games, be it digital or disc-based, are going to be backwards compatible. It's a question of PS3, PS2, and original PlayStation console games are going to be backwards compatible. I have no idea about that, but honestly, I think... Sorry, I just kind of got lost in thought there for a second. I'm trying to think. Would it hurt the PS5 to me if not every PS4 game is backwards compatible? I would say a little bit. Yeah, because the thing I want out of my PS5, and the thing that I actually like about the fact that the PS5 is going to be backwards compatible, supposedly with the PS4, is the fact that I can put my PS4 on a shelf. I can give my old one to my dad and let him, play whatever he wants, in his own time, because I think he needs some humor. And it clears up space on my desk and everything so I don't need a PS4, a PS5, an Xbox, and a this and a that and a that. It's just there's just so much crap on my desk right now. So I like the idea of being able to consolidate into one box. Now, would I complain that it's going to be like that partial backwards compatibility like the Xbox One? Probably not, because it's probably going to be obviously the Sony-owned titles, and I think there'd be a pretty decent library worth of games to play. Still, I hope they can get it so everything is backwards compatible. But like I said, this paragraph here makes me think. So is the problem the PS4 titles, or is the problem the PlayStation 3, 2, and original PlayStation titles? Because frankly, for those, you can brush those aside. What I care about is the PS4 titles, personally. I don't know about the rest of you, but personally, I care about the PS4 titles. Essentially, there's still a lot of questions surrounding PS5's backwards compatibility, how it will work, and the extent of the supported library, and whether it'll be a free feature or part of Sony 5's PS Plus subscription service. While the small snippet from the interview doesn't answer our questions, it does give us an indication of what Sony is aiming for. In more concrete news, Sony recently rebooted its PlayStation Now streaming service with new titles, blah, 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 blah. Okay, and on in that last paragraph, I think there's some interesting things that we do need to talk about. It better be a free feature. It better not be tied in with PS Plus. I mean, I get PS Plus anyways, but at the same time, I really hope they don't try and tie backwards compatibility into PS Plus. I think that would be a really bad move to piss off your fans, Sony. I really don't think that's a good move. And not saying that PS Plus is a bad service. I actually enjoy PS Plus. Yes, it lets you play online stuff, gives you free games, gives you a lot of discounts. I like PS Plus personally, but at the same time, I feel like tying backwards compatibility into PS Plus isn't a smart move in the long run. I think that that's going to turn off a lot of people, And like I said, I don't think Sony, I'm not going to say wouldn't be able to bounce back from that, but it's, if anybody, that would be a bad move on their part, similar to what Xbox did at the start of the Xbox One generation, where they did that whole, and I've brought this up on the channel before. If anybody remembers that commercial that Sony did, kind of making fun of Xbox, it was when Xbox said, "Yeah, we're gonna have the Xbox One is gonna be basically have what PC has, where it's what PC games used to have before the digital marketplaces. What the hell were they? They're those access codes or keys. There we go. For their games. And, so basically I can't hand my friend my copy of the game so they can go play it on their console. No, they have to buy the game. So I can't loan a game to a friend. They have to buy it and get a key to play the game, et cetera, et cetera. And then I believe was Sean Layden, actually, or was it Shuhei? I can't remember who Shuhei or Sean Layden. But either way, Sony did something. It was either a commercial or it was something at one of the trade shows. Either way, it was a really funny thing where they said, "Well, this is all you need to do to share a game with Sony's PS4," and it was like Shuhei or somebody handing somebody a box, and that's it. It was simple. It was just a simple little commercial poking fun at Microsoft. It was probably one of the best pieces of advertising Sony could have done. And I think that this is a similar bad move. It just seems like a money grub if you're going to hide something like backwards compatibility behind the paywall of a PS Plus. Like I said, not saying PS Plus is worthless, not saying PS Plus isn't a bad service. I'd recommend it to people, especially if you really like your PS4 and play it a lot like I do. I would heavily suggest PS Plus. But I don't think hiding it behind, I don't think putting backwards compatibility behind that service is a good move. Again, as I said for about 3 times in a row right there. I feel like there was one other thing I did want to bring up, but no, I think that was the biggest part of this article. I think we've got one more bit of news about the PS5, and then we're gonna move on. Right, we do have one more thing on the PS5. I forgot about this article. The PS5 will let you choose which parts of a game you want to install. Article Liam Croft of Push Square. This is going to be another short one. One of the more important aspects highlighted in Wired... I cannot speak. In Wired's exclusive deep dive into the PS5 was the way we download and install games changes next generation. Instead of installing everything at once, the PS5 will let you select which pieces you'd like to play first. Speaking with Wired.com, Mark Cerny said, quote, "Rather than treating the game like a big block of data, we're allowing finer-grained access to the data," end quote. The website then goes on to clarify that you'll be able to install the single-player portion of a game first or opt to jump into multiplayer without downloading the solo portion of the game. Of course, you could leave either installing in the background while you jump into the latest and greatest that the PS5 has to offer. Alongside this news, Sony confirmed that its next-gen system will indeed be called the PS5 and launches next year during the holiday season, blah, blah, blah. I like this idea. I think this is actually a really good move. When I was downloading the Last of Us, I recently was re-downloaded the Last of Us remastered onto my PS4 because it was free on PS Plus, and I'm like, oh, you know what, I want to go back and play it. It turned out I'd actually purchased that. I don't remember purchasing that. I thought I rented it back, rented it from a store a while ago or something. I don't remember ever actually buying that, but either way, that's neither here nor there right now. So I was re-downloading it, and it asked me if I wanted to download the single player or the multiplayer first. And I love that idea for downloading games, is being able to download one then the other. So like for me, say let's talk about a game that we're actually going to get later in the show, which is Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I don't think that game is going to launch with multiplayer. I have to double check with the interview that we're going to read, and it'll go into that stuff. But say I want to play the single player for Cyberpunk 2077, and the multiplayer I can play later. Well, of course I'm going to download the single player first. And that way I don't have to wait for the entirety of the game to download. And frankly, I think that could actually keep space on that can open up space for your console that you don't have to download the entirety of the game. You can download half the game, and I'm not going to say it's as easily like 1-to-1. Oh, download half the game. It's only going to be half the size. I doubt it's going to be like that. But I like the idea that I can download a game, and I can even make the download smaller by saying, look, take the multiplayer, chuck it, because I'm not going to play it. I like that idea, personally. I think it's a really interesting way to do download, or maybe not necessarily, I don't want to say not an interesting way to download games. It's not a wholly original way. Because like I said, I think a few games have done something like that within the current generation, but I really do like the idea, and I'm glad that they're going to move forward with this way of downloading games and installing things. I like I said, I think it's a nice little quality of life thing. There we go. That's the best way to put it. So, all right, I've yacked enough about the PS5. We've covered enough articles, but kind of keeping on the PlayStation theme, we're going to be talking about The Last of Us Part 2. All right, guys, in between that last article and this one, I kind of got up. I stretched my legs a little bit. Yes, I know it was only about a second for you guys, but it's been about 3-4 minutes for me. I was thinking back on that first little bit. Sorry if I was talking really fast. It's just kind of how I am some days. Some days I speak really quickly. Some days I speak slowly. I don't know. It changes from day to day, but I'll try and slow it down a little bit, because I think in my brain I'm going, I've got a lot of shit to cover today, so let's move. So like I said, I'll try and slow it down a little bit. Starting off here, we've got an article for The Last of Us 2, how The Last of Us 2's new infected work together to ruin your day. Article, Connor Sheridan of this is Games Radar. Who are the real monsters in The Last of Us 2? It could be the terrible people who hurt someone Ellie cares about, or maybe Ellie and Joel themselves as they slip back into their murdersome ways, like putting on a comfortable sweater you haven't worn since February. My money's on the freakishly mutated infected who have nothing but mushrooms where their brains should be and a reflexive urge to spread the fungus. Funny. That goes double for the new Shambler enemy type, which The Last of Us 2's game director Neil Druckmann revealed more about in an interview with PlayStation Blog. He started by explaining why we're just now seeing a new kind of infected, even though we seem to have a pretty good grip on their life cycle before. Quote, in the first game, there is all this documentation about the different stages of the infection, Druckmann said. Now we have to justify why there are different stages, why are there mutations of these things without getting into it here, There is something about the environment and how much time has passed that has allowed these mutations to occur, end quote. In the original game, Joel and Ellie had 4 different kinds of infected to worry about. Runners, stalkers, which were rare and too damn scary, clickers, and bloaters. Each was dangerous on its own and more deadly when found with the other types that could cover their weaknesses. In The Last of Us 2, Shamblers will make group encounters even tougher. Quote, we have runners that close the distance quickly, says Druckmann. We have clickers that move slowly but are one-hit kills. Shamblers provide this area of attack where they have this cloud of gaseous acid that burns materials around it. It burns your skin. The way you saw it in the demo, or in this demo, is that they're mostly on their own. It gets really interesting because you have a cloud that hurts you when you enter it, but it also blocks your view. Then runners burst through it, so the combinations get really interesting, end quote. This is the most game developers speak way possible to say, quote, you are going to hate these new things we made, and we are very happy about that, end quote. Also, least The Last of Us 2's upgrade system will give you some new tools as you desperately cling to life. See, I like the idea of the Shambler. Really, it's hard to believe that The Last of Us 2, or that the original Last of Us only had 4 enemy types that weren't just humans, that it had only 4 enemy types of the runners, what were they again? Oh, son of a bitch. Runners, stalkers, clickers, and bloaters. That's right. I just wanted to use the correct terms. I couldn't remember the big fat one. I couldn't remember. Is it a bloater? That's what I thought it was. As far as, like I said, I think it's interesting to bring in these new enemy types. I never really thought of it. I was just kind of going to accept, oh, okay, here's an infected that we just haven't seen yet. But I guess it makes sense. Yeah, there was a lot of side content in The Last of Us. about the infected and the stages that they went through, and everything. So I guess it would be weird if a new one just popped up with no explanation. So yeah, I am curious to see how they're going to explain this mutation. I mean, it's like Druckmann said. I mean, it's just as easily to say, well, there's something about the environment and there's a mutation. So yeah, there's going to be new enemies. Okay, I think that's easy to accept on the face of it, but I really want to get down to the nitty gritty of that and see how they truly explain these new enemies. But yeah, I like the idea that the Shamblers are going to burst with this cloud of gas. I think it's it's going to mess with your vision and everything. See, I'm curious if the runners run into this sort of acidic gas. Are they going to take damage? Like if they stay in that gas long enough, like will they die? It makes me kind of wonder if I can like stealth kill a Shambler. Can I like harvest its like something out of can I harvest this gas somehow and turn it into like a gas grenade? I don't know. I feel like there'd be some interesting things with this. I'm still really curious of how Ellie's gonna fully control when the game drops and all that. I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm trying to think how far until February. Well, it's October, so about 4 months until Last of Us 2. Jesus. I can't wait. So I think we'll leave this one there because the next article we have is fairly lengthy. All right, as I said at the beginning of the show, we are going to be talking about the whole Blitzchung Blizzard. I think I called it a debacle first, but again, I think it's just Blizzard just slamming its head into a wall. Apparently, after weeks of protests, Blizzard has issued a statement on pro Hong Kong Hearthstone player ban. Article Wesley Ian Poole of Game Inform, Eurogamer, excuse me. We're going to start with the original story, then we're going to go up to Blitzchung's actual response to this. Real quick before we start, now let's look at the the actual event. Which was I don't follow Hearthstone, so if I get the name of the competition wrong, but I believe it was the Grandmasters for Hearthstone. Blitzchung ended up winning, becoming Grandmaster, and during an interview post, after his victory, he shouted "Free Hong Kong," and which then led Blizzard to issue a ban. I believe they pulled his prize money. I believe he was able to retain his title. But he lost the prize money, and I believe received a year-long ban that has been reduced at this point in time. Now, as far as my initial reactions, because I originally wasn't going to talk about it until I saw this terrible response from Blizzard, but my initial thought of it was, okay, even though I agree with Blitzchung, I am for, freedom and everything. I'm a libertarian. I'm very much do what you want to do as long as it doesn't affect other people sort of thing. I really don't like the idea of communism and socialism. So, yeah, I'm all for the Free Hong Kong protests and all that stuff. I'm with Blitzchung and all that. Even though I agree with this sentiment, I always do think that there is a time and place to start talking about things. I've never been a big fan of, athletes, performers, actors, whatever, coming out while they're doing something that's for a movie or at a concert or on the field, on the courts, anything, using that as a time to spout political stuff, because frankly, that's my escape from political stuff. That's, I'm here to see the movie, the concert, the game, whatever. And in this case, I want to hear him talk about his win in the match, not his political theory. Now, am I sitting here going, he shouldn't have said it? No. Am I sitting here going, would I have rather him just done that on Twitter or whatever? Yes, you can argue, well, he has this massive platform to do it. Yeah, I can understand all the arguments. It's just one of those that I'm kind of a time and place kind of guy. I always prefer people to, you know what I'm saying? I prefer everything to stay. Like I said, I think the best way to put it is time and place. I don't really care what they do on their off time on Twitter, whatever. That's whatever. But when I'm watching the game, that's not when I want to see it. So I guess you could argue minor annoyance with him, but overall, I don't think he did anything anywhere near what warranted this this punishment from Blizzard. As far as Blizzard goes, holy shit, they just, because again, I believe it was they pulled his prize money. They pulled pulled the prize money, let him retain the title, and then gave him a year-long ban. Really? I get it. You're trying to protect your interests in China, but Jesus Christ. That is a horrible move. I mean, just the optics alone. Like I said, I mean, I take politics out of it. The optics of just slamming somebody for saying something like that is not a good look. Look, if you want to say, look, we don't endorse any political statements of any of our performers, you know, we're an impartial party, we're a company, all we're trying to do is provide a game for people to play. Okay, fine, that's your stance. But to immediately go out and slam this kid with a ban like this is bad form, in my opinion. That is bad form. Either way, there we go. I kind of went into the initial thing. I talked more about politics in there than I wanted to. That was... Either way, the original story goes, following a week of outcry and protests over its punishment of a Hearthstone player who expressed pro-Hong Kong views in a post-match interview, Blizzard has finally issued a statement that amounts to a partial backtrack, but it insisted its relationship in China had no influence on its decision. Yeah, I don't believe that for a second. The statement issued late on Friday is attributed to Blizzard President J. Allen Brack. In it, he insisted the Hearthstone player in question, Hong Kong player. I'm going with Blitzchung because I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce his name, and I'm just going to go with his tag. Violated tournament rules by commenting on the current situation in his home country. Earlier this week, Blitzchung appeared in a Grandmasters Asia Pacific post-match interview where he signed off with a bold statement wearing a gas mask similar to those worn by protesters and recently banned in Hong Kong. Blitzchung said, "Liberate Hong Kong, revolution of our age." The stream quickly cut to an ad break. You can see it here on this Twitter page. All three of the streamers were punished by Blizzard, including two casters. Blitzchung was removed from Grandmasters, lost all of his prize money, and was banned for a year. Okay, so he was removed from the Grandmasters. Okay, I had that wrong. But yeah, like I said, even if it is against tournament rule... See, and I guess you could argue, well, he broke rules, but, I don't think a lot of people are siding with Blizzard here, but it's like I said, it's the pure optics of that. Really? You're going to put your foot into a bear trap by this actual, this really serious situation that is going on in Hong Kong. You're going to put your foot in a bear trap by, as soon as somebody expresses sentiments about it, even if like I said, you can argue that, yeah, it's against the rules. I'm not saying that you don't enforce your rules, but really, you'll pull all of his prize money, remove him from the Grandmasters, and ban him for a fucking year. Like I said, there is a way that they probably could have reprimanded him for it that wouldn't have pissed people off this much, but by doing it to this extent, this next sentence, the punishment was seen as heavy-handed by Blizzard and an attack on free speech. Exactly. Like I said, there are rules to it. It is their tournament. It is technically their platform. If you want to say that he shouldn't have done it, okay. Like I said, it's in the rules and whatever. And like I said, if they want to actually punish him for something, fine. But like I said, reprimanding somebody for the punishment has to fit the crime. There we go. That's what I'm trying to say. And like I said earlier, when I said that I would prefer, I would put what I said earlier as a preference, as the best way to put it. I would prefer it if people would keep politics out of my sports and esports and movies and TV shows, and you know what I mean. Do that on your Twitter accounts. But I'm also not going to say you aren't allowed to do it. That's how I will put it. I think he was well within his rights to say what he wanted to say. Where the hell was I? I'm sorry, I got lost in my brain. This punishment was seen as heavy-handed by Blizzard and an attack on free speech. It sparked an outcry both inside and outside of the company, with the Boycott Blizzard hashtag trending on Twitter, and employees staging protests next to an orc statue that's surrounded by company slogans. One of these slogans, "Every Voice Matters," was covered up by staff. You see, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Havdestad, I think that's how it is. So apparently not everybody at Blizzard agrees with this. Currently, I believe Think Globally and Every Voice Matters has been covered up on their little thing that they were talking about there. Quote, every voice matters, and we strongly encourage everyone in our community to share their viewpoints in the many places available to express themselves, read Blizzard's statements. However, the official broadcast needs to be about the tournament and to be a place where all are welcome. In support of that, we want to keep the official channels focused on the game. Okay. Right there, I can agree with that. Sure, and that's what I was saying earlier. The broadcast needs to be about the tournament, just like what's playing. The game needs to be about the game. The concert needs to be about the concert. Sure, I can understand that way of thinking. I agree with that way of thinking. Again, punishment fits the crime. I don't think that's what we have here. That's the thing. It's like I said, if he needed to be reprimanded for breaking the rules, I understand that. Because, again, I have to be fair to the company. They run the game. They run the tournaments. They're allowed to make the rules. But, again, punishment fit in the crime. It's what that's basically going to be my mantra here. Blizzard's initial decision was seen by many to be an attempt to appease the Chinese market. Which is crucial to the company's success, but Blizzard insisted it had nothing to do with relations to China. Quote, the specific views expressed by Blitzchung were not a factor in the decisions we made, J. Allen Brack said. Excuse me. I want to be clear, our relationship in China had no influence on our decision. We have these rules to keep a focus on the game and on the tournament to benefit of global audience, and that was the only consideration in the actions we took. Right, but completely pulling his prize money, removing his status, and a full year ban. Again, what is my mantra? What have I been saying? Punishment fits the crime. What they're saying here, I don't disagree with. But come on, you can't say that after you ban a guy for a fucking year. That's the problem here. Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay, the specific views were not a factor. I mean, how many people have been, have we had situations like this where people have been hit by this rule from Blizzard where all of this shit happens to them, or has it happened to lesser extents? It's like I said, I mean, if you want to fine him, if you want to do whatever, I can understand that, and like I said, people want to argue with me. It's like I said, it is their platform, it is their tournament. It's like I keep saying, you can argue, AJ, you're trying to play both sides. No, not really. I will defend a private company's right to I do believe in capitalism. I will defend a private company's right to make their rules on their own platform. But it's like I said, there's a difference between we have our rules and there's an appropriate, like I said, response and punishment to we're gonna smack the shit out of you because we can. Sort of thing, and that's how this feels like it's like I said, Blizzard heavy-handed response. I think that's the best way to put it. I want to be clear, our relationship to China, no blah blah blah. I already read that. If this had been the opposing viewpoint delivered in the same divisive and deliberate way, we would have felt and acted the same. I bring up some examples because I don't think I don't know. Like I said, I can only speculate, but I don't think that's true. Blizzard has now reduced Blitzchung's punishment, with J. Allen Brack admitting the company reacted too quickly. Yeah. Blitzchung will now receive his prize money, as he should, and his year-long ban is now down to 6 months. And when we get to his response, it's really some sad shit. Quote, we understand that for some this is not about the prize, and perhaps for others it is disrespectful to even discuss it, J. Allen Brack continued. That is not our intention. No, for me, I think the fact that you took his prize money is a big issue. He won your freaking tournament. Okay, like I said, if you want to implement him a fine, I can understand that. Like I said, you're basically the MLB here. You're the governing body of this sport. I used that with air quotes, this e-sport, whatever. You're the governing body. You do have the right to issue fines and whatnot to people who break rules and break policies and whatnot. Sure, but to completely remove his prize money is ridiculous. So yeah, I do think that the prize is something that should be talked about, because that's fucking ridiculous. There's a consequence for taking the conversation away from the purpose of the event and disrupting or derailing the broadcast. Yeah. Again, it's whatever. I've said it multiple times. I should hold up a fucking sign. The casters have also seen their ban reduced to 6 months, and that's also ridiculous. The fact that you went after the casters, that you went after them, not just Blitzchung. That's something I haven't even talked about, is the fact that they were also punished in this, and that's goddamn ridiculous. They're punished for 6 months, and they didn't even say it. And they're trying to push this off as, oh, it's because he broke policy. Again, I'm all for, and I keep saying it. I've said it 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times already. You break policy, there are punishments for breaking policy. I understand that. But again, punishment fits the crime. God damn it. I'm about to have a stroke. Oh, God. With regard to the casters, remember their promise is to keep the event focused on the tournament. Well, but if they ask him a question and he just comes out and says something, is that their fault? Did they ask him a question about Hong Kong? I actually don't think they did or anything. God damn it. That didn't happen here, and we're setting their suspension to 6 months as well. That's goddamn ridiculous. That's fucking ridiculous. Like I said, if you want to, like I was saying earlier, Blitzchung, any reprimands actually should go to Blitzchung. Yes, because he, like I said, broke policy. I made that clear. The casters should have nothing. That's like if your sideline reporter was giving an interview and somebody swipes the mic out of their hand and starts ranting about whatever the hell they want. Is that the sidelines reporter's fault that they didn't just yank the mic away? Really? Holy crap. Like I said, they just fucking stepped in it, and now they're trying to run back. It's impossible. Mostly because your response, I don't even think involves an apology like it should. That, hey, look, we screwed up. It barely says, yeah, we screwed up here. No. It's basically all, well, they did things, and I'm sitting here going, yes, you are correct. By the letter of the law, you are correct. But the question here is what's right, and I'm not usually somebody who says what's right. I am usually somebody who says, look, what's the law say? What's the blah blah blah? I usually am like that. But come on, this is not but that's in stuff that's like criminal and whatnot. This is something that's more of a civil issue in which I have to ask, really? Come on, you have to think of the optics. What was the right play? And you guys just said no. We're going to just put our heads in the oven and turn it on. Jesus Christ. While Blizzard has reduced the punishments it had issued, its statements amount to a doubling down of the company's position on professional players' ability to make political statements during tournaments. J. Allen Brack was unequivocal on this point. Moving forward, we will continue to apply tournament rules to ensure our official broadcasts remain focused on the game and are not a platform for divisive social and political views. Again, I don't disagree with that. I will say that to the day I die. I don't disagree with that, but again, come on. Appropriate goddamn responses, please. A statement issued by NetEase, the Chinese-based company Blizzard has partnered with to publish games in the country, contains stronger language thanks to translation. Quote, we express our strong indignation or resentment and condemnation of the events that occurred in the Hearthstone Asia Pacific competition last weekend and absolutely oppose the dissemination of a personal political idea during any events or games. The players involved will be banned, and the commentators involved will be immediately terminated from any official business. Also, we will protect or safeguard our national dignity or honor. Oh, God. It's worth noting the statement issued to the Chinese social media platform Weibo, I don't know, is run by NetEase, not Blizzard, but it highlights a growing tension among Western video game companies who do business in China, which has strict rules publishers must adhere to in order to do business there. As for Blizzard, it's fighting fires at home and abroad. Its statements have been roundly criticized on social media, and it faces a prospect of protests at a politically charged BlizzCon in November. Right? I mean, I believe that people that... look, this might be a rumor, and somebody might have made a joke about this on just one of the many news things that I watch just, kind of while I'm playing games. But somebody made a mention that I think that they're banning shirts that have Winnie the Pooh on it at BlizzCon, because that was the comparison to the Chinese, is he a president? Leader? Whatever. They compared him to Winnie the Pooh. Like, there have been a few games that have been banned in China because they've actually made that comparison. To the leader using that, using Winnie the Pooh as the joke. But I've heard that Blizzard's doing that. I've not seen any statement on Blizzard. I really don't give two craps about BlizzCon because I think Blizzard sucks. That's my own opinion. But again, you have rumors like that, and again, it's one of these things that if this is parody or a joke, I could believe it, given how Blizzard has been acting lately. It's just, it's like I said, Blizzard. The easiest way to do this is saying, "Look, we overreacted. We are sorry. Yes, you should have the right to say, to say what you want and to have your political opinions. We do have we have a policy that asks that says not to. This way we can keep this focused on the game and everything. We will be, and like I said, it's like I said, I think that would have been the best way to handle this, is admitting you were heavy-handed and saying, look, we shouldn't have done this. We reacted way too heavy-handedly, way too early. We are sorry. We deeply apologize. We are reinstating his title. We are giving him a more appropriate, like I said, a more appropriate punishment based on the offense here. The casters are being completely clear. The issue is, yes, he broke policy that we have that wants to keep this about the actual tournaments. It's like I said, there was a way to handle this, and Blizzard, there was a way to handle this in the first place, and Blizzard just say, nah. There was a way to handle the response. Blizzard just said, nah. Jesus Christ. Blitzchung has, this is in the update, Blitzchung has responded to Blizzard's overnight statement, saying, quote, in the future, I will be more careful. In a live stream on Twitch, the Hong Kong Hearthstone player revealed he received a phone call from a Blizzard representative about the situation and said he was, quote, grateful the company had reduced his ban for 1 year to 6 months. However, Blitzchung added, to be honest, 6 months is too long for me. Then I wish Blizzard would reconsider the penalty of the two casters. Will Blitzchung continue to compete in Hearthstone following his ban? Quote, honestly, I have no idea, he said, pointing to the Grandmasters tournament next season as his likely return if he decides to come back. Apparently, Blitzchung will retain his Grandmaster status. I will take this time to decide if I am staying in the competitive Hearthstone scene or not. I haven't played Hearthstone since the incident happened. I have no idea if I will go back to Hearthstone again, end quote. Yeah, it's like I said. I mean, this is clearly a game a guy this was clearly something this guy was passionate about. I'm talking about Hearthstone, and he's a Hong Kong-based streamer and gamer, everything. Clearly, this is an issue that's important to him. This is a massively divisive political world. It's like I said, there was a way to handle this, and again, I think it would have been to apologize. Said, look, we do have a policy about this, but our punishment was extremely rash and extremely harsh. Blizzard fucked up, and there's no way to say that. And again, that him saying, look, this has kind of spoiled the game for me, or maybe I'm reading into what he's saying there, but yeah, but basically by saying, yeah, I haven't been back and played the game since this whole ordeal happened. He expressed sort of some sadness for the casters and everything. Yeah, it's just, this is just one big shit show, and I can't believe that this has gotten to this point. Well, no, I can believe this. It's God. All right, I'm kind of sad now. Let's move on to something a little happier. All right, well, I stood up. I took another little short break after that, after ranting and raving during that. Hopefully everything was coherent. I don't know, sometimes when I get into more, I don't want to say intellectual topics, but more things that aren't just simply, hey, here's the game, here's this, that, when I'm talking about more social and political issues, I have a tendency to rant. Hopefully it wasn't too bad, but either way, hopefully now this is a little bit of a lighter topic. So we have Cyberpunk 2077 dev talks multiplayer microtransactions, next-gen console, Switch ports, possibilities, and more. This is an article on GameSpot written by Eddie Makuch. There is a lot here. This is for PAX Australia. Or this was an article about what was going on in PAX Australia. Some of these we might skip over because I don't think they're, like the Netflix Witcher TV show or, why he loves making games. It's stuff that you can go back, you can go and read on your own time, because there will be a link to all the articles down in the description, so you can go read on your own if you'd like to see those. But I want to focus on just some stuff that some more stuff about Cyberpunk 2077. But either way, let's hop in here. CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk 2077 is one of 2020's most anticipated games, and it comes to PAX Australia this week in a big way for its first public showing in the country. On PAX Aus Day 1, CD Projekt Red filled the Melbourne. I'm going with Melbourne. That's how I pronounce it. Convention Center's biggest theater, with excited fans who got the special treat of seeing nearly an hour's worth of gameplay footage that showed off more of Night City and a number of new abilities. Also in Melbourne for PAX was CD Projekt Red's John Mamus. Now that I think about it, I gotta see if I can find that hour of gameplay. If anybody has a link or something that can find that hour of footage, tell me. The studio is creating about 1/3 of content for Cyberpunk 2077, while it also developed the game's new cutscene technology and other aspects of the title. GameSpot spoke with Memias, I'm going with that, who has been with CDPR since 2011 when he was a producer on The Witcher 2, and he told us more about local issues like political censorship from Australia's classification board, multiplayer support for Cyberpunk 2077, and the possibility of a Switch port. In terms of potential censorship of Cyberpunk 2077 on Australia, Memias, I'm going with that, said he does not think the game will have any issues clearing the local classification board like other titles, including South Park: The Stick of Truth, have in the past. Quote, I was concerned about censorship because I know Australia has issues with drugs, and the other thing is sexualized violence. Those are the two things that can kill your product in Australia, Mamaya said. But I've been looking into it over the last couple days. It seems like we're safe. You don't get rewarded for using drugs, as far as I know, in the game. The player doesn't do any kind of sexualized violence at all, where it's really tasteless. We wouldn't do anything like that. On the subject of, for some reason, something in that sentence doesn't click right with my brain. The player doesn't do any kind of sexualized violence at all where it's really tasteless. I don't know why. There's something about that just isn't clicking in my head. On the subject of multiplayer in Cyberpunk 2077, Mamias teased that that CD Projekt Red as a company is now finally expanding enough to be able to work on multiple AAA games simultaneously. One of these could be a multiplayer-focused Cyberpunk game, though it could also be a Witcher title, a new IP, a licensed game, or something else entirely. Okay, one, I would love a new Witcher game. I get it, Geralt's time is done. But you know what? You can stick in the Witcher world and give us a new character. I would actually like to see them completely, because I mean the cool thing is, while The Witcher is based off of the books, the Witcher video game series takes place after the books. It is because it literally picks up where The Witcher, the book series, ends. That's what I liked about the Witcher video game series, is that it brings in characters and relationships, and it continues to build the world. It tells me that CD Projekt Red can create, how to put this, they can create their own stories. They don't have to just base it off of the book. They can create their own stories. Granted, they didn't have the structure that was The Witcher, but still, they were able to make their own stories within The Witcher, and I really like that. So I think that they could make a Witcher game set entirely in a new part of the world or separate of Geralt's story. They could do their own thing. I don't know, maybe have us play as one of the other Witcher schools. Hell, not even play as a Witcher, but just an adventurer in the world of The Witcher. I mean, they could do so many different things. Maybe play as a mage or something. They could do a lot of different things in the world of The Witcher. And I really would like to see a new Witcher title from CD Projekt. Part of me does get a little worried when they say the company is now expanding, and that way they can focus on multiple AAA games at once. And that kind of makes me worry that quality will slip, but I have faith in CD Projekt. They're one of the few studios that I actually will give that faith to, and I really look forward to seeing what they're going to do next. Quote, it's public knowledge that we want to make multiple AAA titles at the same time in the company. We haven't been able to, but now we're growing to a certain extent, and we might be able to do that in the future. At least we hope so, he said. We'll see how well Cyberpunk does. It's not for me to say what will be. I can tell you that I hope they'll... Sorry, I can't. For some reason, the sentence isn't jiving with me. I can tell you what I hope they'll be. I like Cyberpunk. I'd like to keep making Cyberpunk games. I also like The Witcher. I'd like to keep making Witcher-type games. It could be anything, some new IP or some licensed IP. Who knows? It's not decided yet. Cyberpunk 2077 is set to launch on April 20th. Or April 2020, excuse me, which is a few months before the PlayStation 5, which is now officially confirmed, and the next generation Xbox are expected to release in holiday 2020. Mamias didn't confirm if Cyberpunk 2077 will be upgraded or improved for these consoles, but he said more powerful systems will afford CD Projekt Red a number of new and exciting opportunities. Quote, "It's going to be awesome," Mamias said of the coming next-gen consoles. "It's always cool to have new consoles coming out, and I can't wait to work on those things. We'll see what we can do with those. It's fun watching games evolve. They're looking more and more realistic, which is, I like working on games like that. The more powerful the technology, the consoles, the more it is good for me as a game developer," end quote. And check out the biggest talking points from our interview below, blah, blah, blah. Look, as far as a next-gen port, I believe that that's going to happen. There's no way that they are going to avoid making that money. I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a next-gen port, especially in the early days of the console generation, especially if Cyberpunk kicks ass. I've got no problem with it. I have no doubt that they're going to end up doing that. So that's my take. All right, the potential Australian censorship, we already read that quote. On multiplayer, it's public knowledge. We'll see. Yeah, we already talked about that. Okay, microtransactions. Here's an interesting one. I think it's a bad idea to do microtransactions after you release a game. It seems like it's very profitable, though it's probably a hard decision for the guy that runs the business to decide if we should do it or not. But if everyone hates it, why would we do something like that and lose the goodwill of our customers? See, I completely agree with him on that one. I think that's a really smart way of handling things. It's why piss your customers off. I think it's better to keep that goodwill than make money. Take notes, EA. God damn. No, frankly, Ubisoft right now. A lot of companies. BioWare. Jesus Christ, I could probably keep doing this for a little bit of just coming up with developers. But yeah, I think he's exactly right. I think that's the point. Is I think goodwill is more important than, because this game's going to make bank no matter what. It's going to make money. But, do you want to scrape the bottom of the barrel for every dollar you can, or do you want to keep the goodwill? I think that's the smartest move. And I think this post-release idea is probably the best. I think modeling it after The Witcher 3 is the best move you could do. The Witcher 3's free DLC and big paid expansions was a good model for us. It worked pretty well for The Witcher 3. I don't see why we wouldn't try to replicate that model with Cyberpunk 2077. We're not talking about that yet, but it seems like that would be the smart way to go. I totally agree. I think doing some small cosmetic free DLCs and stuff, just some inconsequential stuff is a super smart move. And then do expansions. Probably give us new areas of Night City to go to, new mission chains, new characters. I think that there's tons of really cool shit that they could do with this game. In the level of creativity that they have at CD Projekt. I definitely think that's I really think that they can do that. Let's see here. As far as their confidence goes, a lot of people do feel good about the April 2020 date, and some people are scared about that date. It's a normal kind of mixture of feelings about that about the date in the studio. That's the directive we need to keep at the date. The vibe at CD Projekt Red right now. I'm just trying to keep this moving. This video's already run along. In terms of content, maybe it's about a third of the game, and this is as far as what the new Krakow office has contributed. We're doing some specific things for Cyberpunk. For the narrative part, for the cinematic part, there is something new called a scene system. It's like our dialogue and cinematic system that occurs within the context of the gameplay of the game. It's really important because one of the pillars of the development of the project is the idea of full immersion, and this new scene system is all about full immersion. You don't break into a letterbox formula and see this cutscene taking place. You're actually in the cutscene and you can control the character or the camera. There are different levels of control depending on the cutscene. It's fully immersive. It doesn't take you out of the experience at all. So we're doing that, and also other things too. I'm curious to see how that's going to work. I'd prefer to see that with like in a video, like show exactly what he means by that. But it's interesting. New consoles. He's personally learned. Feature creep. Okay, as far as the Switch port goes, who would have thought that a game like The Witcher 3 would be possible on the Switch? So who knows? I guess we'll see if we decide to put it on the Switch. If we can do it, probably not. Yeah, I think that's the best take on that is basically, hey, look, if we can do it, we can do it. If not, we can't. It's as simple as that. Yeah, as far as the stakes, the story, okay, yeah, I think the rest of it, we've pretty much covered. All the important stuff was covered up here. But yeah, I'm really stoked for Cyberpunk. If I haven't said it before, I like the fact that their multiplayer is really not going to take up a part of this game. That they're basically saying, look, if we do multiplayer, it's going to be in another game. It's going to be its own separate thing. As far as microtransactions go, I like how they're saying, look, we're going to keep it down to, if they're going to do it, they're going to try and do it in a way that won't piss people off. I'm not really sure how possible that is nowadays, but I like how they said they're going to do it. But all right, let's move on to our last thing. We got a video to look at. All right, this was a video suggestion by subscriber and friend of the show, Akita Touchdown. I want to say thanks, dude, for sending this. I caught about like the first 30 seconds of this, and it actually looks really interesting. Like I'm actually pretty excited for this career mode. I like last year's career mode, and I think this year's is going to be also pretty fun. I like how they're taking themselves a little less seriously, because I feel like for a while the 2K games, and it's what really kind of put me off of the 2K WWE games, was that they were trying to make career mode like it's like an actual sports game, and it just didn't work for me. But the new ones, but last year's and the way this year's is looking, it looks like it's going to do something, like it's going to be a little wacky. It's going to fit the idea of professional wrestling, and I like that. I think that there's going to be some like WWE legends here. Also, as much as my favorite thing about the WWE games personally is WWE Universe. I think that is the most fun thing, like to make your own shows, make your own rosters and everything. I think that's a ridiculous amount of fun, but either way, let's take a look at this.
We never thought it was possible that someday we'd be WWE superstars ourselves.
But if I've learned anything, it's that nothing is truly unattainable.
Congrats on the Hall of Fame.
We were just telling Pac all about how we got started.
We're going to make a list of everything we'll accomplish someday when we become WWE superstars.
Say I'm crazy, but I really think I don't care.
I bet you're here for Bret Hart, eh?
For people to know who I am.
Canadians.
I'm with you through good and bad. We're a package deal.
Package deal.
You have to be real.
All right, for one, I like this whole thing of how it's this kind of like this pair. I don't know anything about the story, really. I mean, the game comes out next Tuesday, actually. Now I think, geez, that's soon. I'm kind of hoping that this is going to be one of those, like, you can, like, I'm not sure if these are friends or, like, a brother-sister team or something like that, but I'm kind of hoping that you can design both characters, just because I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm also hoping that they remove the online element from the MyCareer mode, just so you can have some more fun customization options and you don't have to buy as much using 2K points or whatever the hell they're called. I doubt that that's going to happen because 2K likes their money grabbing, but I kind of hope some of that exists here. But as far as the idea of like this brother-sister pair, I think that's really cool, especially because that actually not only lets us experience both sides of the company, not just the like male wrestling, but also the female division as well. I think that there's a lot of cool stuff that they could do with that. Hell, even mixed tag team sort of things. And I think this could be really interesting.
Realistic.
Look, I will make it. It's on our list.
In this business, there's only one surefire way to cement your legacy and become immortal.
The Reaper is waiting to drag you through the fires of hell.
Yes! The ocean of reincarnation!
Come out here and accept my challenge.
If you're not gonna give me a title match, then I'll just have to beat one out of you.
You just risked everything for me.
Show them why you belong here. Hey! If you want to keep running your mouth, then come over here and do it to my face!
You can't recast me! What happens next?
Other than Trey running for his life, I have no idea.
That trophy could be ours.
Don't hold back.
I never do.
I respect your loyalty. That goes a long way in this business. This isn't over.
Yeah, I'm absolutely pumped. I really, all this stuff, PS4, bump the night, blah, blah, blah. I really like that trailer. I really, really like that trailer. Again, I think the career mode in the last WWE game was a lot of fun. I really did like the whole thing with Buzz and Baron Blade and all that. It was goofy. It was goofy. It was fun. I actually enjoyed the story. I thought it made sense all the way to WrestleMania, winning your championship there. It was a lot of fun doing that Let's Play. And I think this one, they're going full balls to the wall. Look, we're going to have some wacky shit. We're going to have a good story. We're going to have all these characters and it looks like it's going to be way deeper than what last year's was. And I'm all for it. I cannot wait for next week. I was excited and going, okay, it'll be kind of fun to kind of, like drink beer and just kind of joke around and whatever. Especially because once this game comes out, I work that night and then I get 2 days off on Wednesday, Thursday that I can goof around with this game. But I actually really like that trailer. That got me actually excited for this game. Not just, okay, this will be fun to, have a beer and goof around with. And no, this actually looks like it's going to be a whole hell of a lot of fun. And I am very excited. Guys, I think that's going to about do it for this show. Jeez, this was a long one. Hopefully you weren't too put off about the whole thing with the Blitzchung thing. Yeah, I got a little political. I usually try to keep that out of the show, but it was kind of hard to do that with that situation. But either way, I want to say, as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Facebook, Twitter, the website, minds.com. Links, all that stuff is down in the description below. Like, comment, you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Please, as always, if you have suggestions for articles or videos or whatever, hit me up and down in the comments or in the links. Not saying I will always cover them, but I will definitely put, it'll go, how to put this. There's a high chance that, yes, I will cover them. It depends on what they are and what all we have to cover that week. But yeah, thanks for, sorry, I'm lost in my own brain here. Thank you for watching, guys. Links and timestamps are in the description. So is all the social media links. Like, comment, you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. And until next time, my name's AJ Kells, the Something Game Channel. I'm out.